Hello, my name is Anay Pant, and my presentation is creating and teaching games in Python to teach artificial intelligence concepts. So first, a little bit about myself. My name is Anay, and I am an upcoming sophomore or previous freshman at the Athenian School in Danville, California. And I've been learning Python since I was in fifth grade and AI for the past 3 years. I started understanding and writing neural networks in Python by myself, and eventually I attended AI Club, which is a kind of school or startup where they educate kids about AI and the different features. Now I'm a volunteer teacher there, and I teach AI concepts to students from 6th to 12th grade. And I create unique courses along with help of other people to really educate kids in a different way that makes it easier for them and more enhancing for us. I like to explain AI to the kids that I teach as the ability for computers to make decisions on their own without humans helping them. And they're used to solve many different problems, as we know, like how to drive a car or giving automatic replies like email. And they're also even taking up some simple jobs like being a waiter or robotic arms at factories to make stuff. So the basic concepts that I like to give kids are come in 3 steps about an AI and the process that you have to use to create them. The first, and here are the 3 steps. So the first one is that you want to gather training data for the AI to learn from. You want to train the model from the data, and you want to use the trained model. So some basic parts that I like to key parts that I like to inform them about is it's kind of like a kid just learning or studying for a test. Gathering training data is kind of like making a study guide or making flashcards or something that they can use to build on. Training the model is them learning it. And one important part is that kids learn in many different ways. Some kids are like visual learners, some kids are auditory learners, some kids like to read. So just like with AIs, there's many different ways to learn. So different models will perform differently, and you want to choose the best model, obviously, for the best output. And the last thing is the most impactful part, which is to use that model to then predict an unseen input. And depending on the performance of that model, it'll give a stronger or weaker output. Translating this to games is pretty simple. In any game, it has different features. And so what you'll do is you'll take the AI will get fed inputs from a game. So for example, if we use Flappy Bird, a very common game, we can give the bird's velocity, their vertical, and also the distance to the next pipe. And those inputs can be given to the AI along with other inputs to calculate an output. The output then will be converted to either a key press or something like should the Flappy Bird jump or not. And then the key press is sent back into the game loop in order for the character to score. And then the input will keep changing based on their performance, and then the AI will keep making the outputs. That's kind of how you'll translate an AI concept to a game. So, like I said, I work with other people to make curriculums that will make it easier for kids. So on the right here is part of a document that's a cheat sheet. And on the cheat sheet are these different categories of doing all of these things with examples so that kids can learn. This is just one part of my curriculum, which involves teaching kids about Python as well as AI in order for them to get kind of the whole coverage. So adding on to what I was talking about the curriculum, I do a lot of outreach, which is mentoring students with Python, teaching virtual Zoom classes, as well as writing new curriculums like you saw. And I also usually use either REPL or other editors like Turtle, Idle, or PyCharm. So some tips that I use and some tips that I've seen that are very common in other things that I teach is that practice makes perfect. So at first these are like high level concepts for kids to understand. So practicing them at a lower level makes it easier for them to understand the higher concepts. So you really start from like the most easy part. You make sure that they get that 100%, and then you keep going. Like I said, you want to start at the easiest part, which is about what is Python before you get to the neural networks, and taking it slow is really important if you have the time. One more thing is that breaks are important, obviously. They're kids, they need breaks, and they want to have fun as well. Here's some content that I've created that is pretty much about what I help with teach students with and what I've learned. This is just some of the really basic ones, but this is not the most recent, but some of the most popular stuff that I've done at AI Club. So I've linked them here. And you can also go to my website at anay.github.io to see more about what I've done. Thank you for attending.